Hello, career advancers. I hope that you are having a great November. We here at Optimized Career Solutions are having a fantastic November. We're looking forward to the holiday season, but most importantly, in November, we are talking about some of our favorite topics. We're talking about mindset hacks, tips, and strategies to make sure that you are becoming the best version of yourself and also advancing in your career. And today we are talking about how a curiosity mindset can help you advance in your career through overcoming crucial conversations and overcoming any personal biases that you have for yourself or that you're carrying into these conversations. So, if you are potentially wanting to advance in your career or just living in this world, right, you might be having some crucial conversations upcoming. For instance, maybe your performance review is coming up at the beginning or end of this year, and you are potentially carrying in some of those biases that we carry in from past versions of ourselves or living this human experience, right? And you might be preparing yourself for a fight or for a difficult conversation. And instead, we want to prepare you and your mindset to go into those crucial conversations prepared with a curiosity mindset and a neutral mindset, which we talked about yesterday on the Career Advancement Academy podcast, so that you can be the best version of yourself, seek opportunities, and advance in your career. So one of the things that we need to talk about before we even dive into how you can be the best version of yourself in these difficult and crucial conversations is common cognitive biases. So, what is that? That sounds like a lot of different words just being thrown in there, right? And we hear the word biases being thrown around all the time. And so, what we're talking about today is cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are systematic patterns, right, of deviation from rational thinking that influences the judgments and decisions of individuals. So, what does that really mean? It means that cognitive biases are basically ingrained habits of thought that can skew your reasoning and decision making. It's like mental shortcuts that your brain takes, but sometimes these shortcuts can lead you astray from making the best choices. In real talk, what this means is that something that happened in your life up until now has created these little mental shortcuts that take you away from where you want to be today in your best self. For instance, you might be having a conversation with someone and you're going along, you're feeling really good, you're feeling pretty neutral, you're not feeling really positive, you're not feeling really negative, you're just having a really great conversation. And then something might trigger you, and all of a sudden that shortcut triggers your brain to react in a way that maybe today's version of you might not have reacted, but all of a sudden your brain is taken to a previous version of you where you're not being objective, you're not being neutral, you're not being the best version of you, right? And what this can do is this can really cause you to prejudge someone else. You can prejudge yourself, and it's not going to be the most effective. What is the first step? The first step is really recognizing these biases so that you can be more objective and successful when it comes to having conversations or making decisions. So, what are some types of biases? One of them is going to be the confirmation bias. This confirmation bias is the tendency to search for or interpret or remember information in a way that confirms pre-existing beliefs, right? And this has the power to slow personal and professional development down. For instance, it might be ignoring market research that suggests a new company direction because it doesn't align with your original strategy, right? It could be you having a conversation with someone and they mentioning 3 points, but you only remember the first one because that first point supports a belief that you already entered that conversation with. Another bias could be that overconfidence bias, and that might be overestimating your abilities or the accuracy of your information. This could be you entering a conversation or you making a decision based on information that you feel pretty strongly about, but when you go and you actually research those facts, you're like, ooh, maybe not so much. Maybe I wasn't right on that. According to the study published by the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, 93% of Americans think that they are better than average drivers. 93% of Americans. And yet, we know that there's many accidents, and you can't have 93% be better than average, right? So this is a classic illustration of the overconfidence bias as an example, right? What is the first step to overcoming some of these personal biases in order to make sure that when you are entering a conversation, you're not allowing these biases to affect your decision making or allowing them to potentially trigger and shortcut your brain into making a wrong decision? Well, the first thing is really awareness. Awareness of these biases and when they're going to creep up. The first thing that I always recommend is implementing a curiosity mindset. So as you are having conversations, I want you to get curious. A curiosity mindset is at the very heart of it, it's being curious. It's asking questions, but most importantly is being curious with yourself. This is the first and foremost, most important part. Because the fact of the matter is that you are going to have biases. Things are going to happen inside of your brain that's going to take you off of track of your original goal. People are going to say things in a conversation that is going to have you thinking about things and getting you off of track of where you want to go. And the first initial instinct that we as humans typically have is to start shaming ourselves, start feeling guilty, start saying, oh, why did I think that? Or that's not who I want to be. And we start just shoving it away and compartmentalizing and, oh, I don't want to deal with that. The first thing is just to let that trigger go and react, right? If we get angry, we just, if we get sad, we take it upon ourselves. The first step is being aware and getting curious without the attachment of that shame or that guilt or that reaction to the trigger. How do we do this? It's when we feel that shortcut coming on, where we feel like we're being redirected by our own brains off of the main topic. It's to stop and ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why is this happening? This isn't the way that I wanted this to go. And then the next step is to say, why? When did this belief system, when did I start thinking this way? What about my upbringing, about how I was raised, about my societal norms? What is it about the way in my environment and the things that I'm taking in that allows my brain to be triggered into this shortcut? And the reason why this is so powerful, even though it sounds so simple, is because most people don't ever get here. They either allow that shortcut to dictate their actions, right? Whether they get triggered or they allow their bias to make that decision for them, or they are aware of it and they let that shame spiral continue. Why curiosity is so important is because when we get curious about ourselves and why we react the way that we do, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to bring up things from our past, behaviors from our past, reasons why we believe things that might make us feel a little bit, ooh, oh, I don't like that about myself. Ooh, I don't like that. But when we're looking at it through the filter of curiosity, we can eliminate that shame, we can eliminate that guilt and say, this is an exploration. I'm simply trying to figure out why, so that I can learn a new way forward. When we can learn a new way forward, we can realize the importance of having conversations and doing this in a way that when we approach people with neutrality, that conversation leaves those biases at the door. It allows us to be our best self in every conversation as much as possible, so that we can make decisions that are for the betterment of ourselves, the other person, the organization, the team, and it allows those nasty shortcuts to stay at home. Conversations at work, they have stakes, right? We have a stake in the game every time we have a conversation. Either it's immediately evident or in the long run. And handling these conversations poorly, right? It can either exacerbate, right, that cognitive bias, or it can perpetuate misunderstandings, misgivings, hurt feelings. It could damage team environments. And so having this neutral and curiosity mindset is not only going to help you in that one-on-one conversation or group conversation in the short term, but it can really truly help you as a leader as you grow in your career. It can help with innovation and creativity, but it can also help bring teams together. When you adopt a neutral mindset, right, where you're not attaching a positive or a negative outcome to these conversations, you're just attaching curiosity and neutrality to it, as I am here for information gathering, and what is, you ground yourself in the moment, and you're simply searching for the best outcome and the best decision for the short term and the long term. And you leave expectations at the door too. A quick action tip in order to do this is truly, before entering a challenging conversation, ground yourself with deep breaths. Take a quick walk, do a quick meditation. Try to leave your expectations at the door and get curious with yourself first and ask yourself, am I bringing in any expectations, any preconceived notions, any of that overconfidence bias, any facts that maybe I don't have checked beforehand, just so that I can make sure that I'm the best version of myself and I'm going in there with a neutral mindset without placing my expectations on someone else. Another way you can do this in some difficult and crucial conversations is to be open to different perspectives, right? When you have that curiosity mindset is the fact that you're consistently learning and growing. One of the biggest damaging things for professionals who want to advance in their careers are those who become stagnant, those who stop learning and growing. And one very simple way to ensure that you are consistently growing and advancing, not just personally, but professionally, is to develop a curiosity mindset, to approach situations and ask why, how, what next, right? And a great way to do this and ensure that you are a well-rounded, expanded individual who is looking for opportunities and strategies and ensuring that you are finding win-win solutions for everyone is to be open to different perspectives. A great way to do this is to validate the other person's point of view. The reason why you want to validate that person's point of view is because how in the world could you invalidate it? You're not living in their shoes. Even if you disagree with where they're coming from, that's just your point of view. And so, if you are potentially in a disagreement and you're not sure of a solution coming forward, ask clarifying questions. If you are unsure, it is okay in a conversation to ask clarifying questions and learn more about another person's point of view. If someone proposes an idea that's contrary to your beliefs, instead of dismissing it, an easy thing to say is, that's an interesting viewpoint. Can you explain your thought process further? This is going to allow you to walk a mile, right, in someone else's shoes without ever getting up from your chair. I always recommend to eliminate assumptions and expectations and address them directly. When you are in a crucial conversation, an important conversation, clearly and objectively state your observations and avoid blame. When there is a situation where you have to provide feedback, maybe you're a leader, it's easier to state your observations Instead of placing blame on someone, for instance, I've noticed we've missed deadlines a couple of times. Can you help me understand what's going on here so we can find a solution together to move forward? Is way more effective because you came at it from a curiosity mindset, right? Instead of saying, you've never met deadline, or you never meet deadlines. We can't move on like this. That's an assumption and it's using that overestimating bias too, because of the fact that you're generalizing and you're placing people on the other side of the table, right? And so when you get curious and you put people on the same side of the table and you put yourself on the same team, you get more from the other person, because instead you put yourself on the same team finding a solution. It's almost like you're saying, let's go on an adventure together to find the solution, instead of saying, you did this and it's now your problem, right? Another good question in order to get someone's viewpoint and to eliminate assumptions is to say, how do you see it? With the deadline thing is, hey, we're missing deadlines. I have some assumptions here, but I want to see, how do you see this? How do you see a way forward? This allows you to challenge your own assumptions and your own biases head on, and allows the other person to give you information and fills your picture of the situation with details from both sides instead of just your one limited side. Your goal here in these types of difficult conversations is to find common ground, align on objectives, and reach your goals together. And so if this is something that you maybe struggle with, or you're realizing, oh my goodness, difficult conversations are difficult for me. I mean, who are they not? They're called difficult conversations for a reason, right? But if you're realizing and you're getting curious with yourself now and you're realizing, I bring assumptions and expectations into conversations, and when I leave conversations, I don't get what I want out of them. Why is that? It might be because you're bringing biases, expectations, and assumptions into these conversations. And instead, if you left those at the door and you brought curiosity into them, you might be getting better results. Here's some homework for you. If this is something you want to practice, reflect on the last crucial conversation, last difficult conversation that you had where you maybe reacted emotionally or impulsively, where that shortcut in your brain took over and you all of a sudden realize, wait a minute, have you ever had the moment where you're floating outside of your body and you're like, I can't stop this, what's happening? Did some of those cognitive biases come in play? Ask yourself, why did I believe what I did in that moment? What was coming up for me? What evidence supports that belief? Then ask yourself, could the other person have had a point? Could they have had more information that maybe I didn't know? Ask yourself, did my expectations that I brought into the meeting set me up for disappointment? Just something to be thinking of. I want to talk about, again, some awareness and how this curiosity can really help you. When you are getting curious with yourself, with the conversations with other people, when you're asking these questions, it really helps you be more mindful and more intentional in the moments and in the conversations that you are. Most people tend to, when you're in a conversation, they're not paying attention to what you're saying. They're paying attention to what they want to say. And here's the problem with that, is that you're missing out on really specific and important details of that conversation. But when you are instead placing your curiosity hat on and you want to be curious, you're listening, you're actively listening. And what this does for you and the other person in the conversation is it makes them feel heard, makes them feel important. It also is going to make them feel like you care. And when people feel cared about, they're going to want to do things for you, and not in a bad way. I'm not giving you tips to get people to do things for you. I'm just saying you have a better teamwork. People like you more, right? This is how you win people over, by genuinely caring and listening to them and being curious about their point of view. Far too often we are so siloed and we keep to ourselves and we only care about our own biases and our own point of view, that people feel so defensive and they feel like they have to fight to be heard. But if you're giving them the space to speak, you now become a safe space. Just don't use it against them, right? Use the information you get as ways to make your life better, their life better, the team's life better, the company better, your job better, their job better. Pay attention when you are listening to people, when you're talking to people, and ask yourself, what am I thinking, feeling, deciding right now? Is this coming from a place of peace, of neutrality, or is this coming from emotions? What are some assumptions that I'm making right now? In order to increase your curiosity mindset, seek diverse opinions. Seek opinions of mentors, seek opinions of teammates, seek opinions of people from other teams. The more you can learn about how your company works, how other companies work, how other industries work, the more strategic, innovative, and creative you're going to be. Fact-based decision making. When you can use data and facts to support your decisions, the more you can either confirm biases that are correct, or you can help eliminate some of those biases that are not serving you well. An action tip to give you right now is, if you are in a conversation and you need to make a decision, ask yourself, would I make this same decision if the roles were reversed, if I were sitting in that other seat? This is going to help you increase your emotional intelligence, your empathy. It can also help mitigate any of those self-serving biases or favoritism that you might feel. The fact of the matter is that you're on an incredible journey. We all are on an incredible journey to revolutionize our own professional journey and our own personal mindsets. And it begins with us. And so far too often, what I see when I talk to clients, when I talk to professionals who want to advance in the world, they always ask, what course should I take? What class should I take? What certificate should I take? And I can almost guarantee you that the biggest gift that a leader, a professional can give themselves is developing their own curiosity mindset. By eliminating biases, by giving yourself this gift of getting curious, by being self-aware, and by increasing your emotional intelligence, you are able to see the world in so many different ways. This increases your ability to see strategy and to see opportunities where others only see failure. Every step you take in understanding your own biases by getting curious is a step towards a more fulfilling and successful life. And in fact, I want to give you some other ways that a curiosity mindset will help benefit your personal and professional life. A curiosity mindset increases innovation and problem solving. It encourages exploration and experimentation, which leads to fresh solutions. It helps you in that continuous learning, like I told you, right? It helps stave off that stagnation. It helps you become more adaptable and resilient, which is huge. If you haven't looked around, right? We've been going through some stuff. Millennials have faced so many economic downturns, 2 recessions, a worldwide pandemic, a potential upcoming war. To be curious is to be adaptable and resilient, and companies need that, leaders need that. It helps increase your effective communication, increase your emotional and positive intelligence. Your productivity increases because a curiosity mindset usually leads to proactive approaches in work, which optimizes your performances and your outcomes. It helps you become a better leader. Curiosity can drive you to understand various perspectives, which helps you lead diverse teams. It helps you with better job satisfaction because you can be curious as to ways to make everyday tasks more engaging and fulfilling. It also helps you with better career mobility by developing skills and attributes to increase your transferability and flexibility. If you are feeling like you inside of your mind have become too rigid, are potentially too emotional in your reactions, are feeling triggered by the ways that you're interacting with people in conversations, I highly recommend getting a little curious. And I want to ask you, if you're feeling empowered by this, hit the like button, share this video with others, get curious with yourself, and let me know in the comments how this video resonated with you, what stood out to you, and what are you getting curious about this week. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Optimized Career Solutions YouTube channel. We drop every Wednesday an episode of the Career Advancement Academy podcast. This week, we talked about the neutral mindset. We also drop every Thursday a full-length video from yours truly about how to capitalize on the theme of the week. And this theme of this month is mindset hacks and tips to ensure that you are advancing in your life, not just professionally, but also personally. We're going to be talking about incredible stuff this month. Oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled. The benefits of gratitude, the win or learn mentality, all things that have truly been implemented by myself and Jack and our team that have revolutionized and changed our lives. So make sure you're subscribed, share this with a friend, and let me know in the comments what resonated, and I'll see you next week. Have a great week.